There is a common misconception about Buddhist and Buddhist practice, which I hope to clear up today. And it's the idea that we as Buddhists are supposed to be nice people. That we're supposed to be nice to our family and friends, nice to our neighbors, and nice to ourselves. However, this is incorrect. Now, I understand why people think we as Buddhists should be nice. It was definitely a big-hearted gesture when the Buddha 2,600 years ago stepped out from under the Bodhi tree to teach the world how to realize enlightenment. The Bodhisattvas certainly seem like nice individuals as they work endlessly to save all sentient beings from suffering. But I'll say it again, as Buddhists, we are not supposed to be nice. And the reason we're not supposed to be nice isn't in the action of niceness itself. It's because of the motivation. Niceness is an action rooted in emotions. It's rooted in our feelings in that moment. I like you, so I'll be nice to you. I'm in a good mood, so I'll be nice to you. And the problem with using our emotional state, our feelings about the world, about other people, as a motivation for our actions is sometimes, to put it simply, we're just not in a good mood. There are days where maybe we had a weird dream and we're trying to make sense of it. Maybe we're hungry or our body hurts. Maybe we honestly have bad feelings towards the person in front of us. And if that is the situation we're in and we're using our emotional state to try and be nice to other people, then frankly, we'll probably end up being cruel. Not because we're cruel people, but because that is the direction our emotional state is pushing us in. And we've all been there. We've all been angry or sad and said things that we regretted, not because we really meant them, but because we just weren't in the mood to be nice in that moment. Which is why Buddhists are not supposed to be nice. It's a recipe for failure. Of course, this begs the question, if we're not supposed to be nice to other people, then what are we supposed to do? And the answer, as Buddhists, is that we are supposed to practice compassion. Compassion towards ourselves, first and foremost, but also compassion towards others. Now, you might think that compassion versus niceness are basically the same thing, but they're not. And to understand why they're not, we can look at a line from the Heart Sutra, which states, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva of compassion sees through the 5 aggregates and is saved from suffering and despair. Now, Avalokitesvara is another name for Kannan, the Bodhisattva of compassion, she who listens to the cries of the world, an individual who was so grief-stricken by the suffering she saw individuals experiencing in the hell realms and in the earth realm that she vowed to not pass into parinirvana until all sentient beings could be saved. Now, to understand why her actions are compassionate, however they are not nice, we have to look at her motivation. You see, this line in the Heart Sutra is telling us that the reason Kannan exists, the reason she does what she does, is because she's seen through the illusion of a separate self, as represented by the 5 aggregates. And by seeing through the illusion of a separate self, she herself is saved from suffering and despair, and by necessity, she is motivated to save others from suffering and despair, because she understands that other people are not separate from her. I'll explain through an example. It's cold and wet right now where I live, And each day I have to go outside and take care of the animals, do things around the property. And because it's cold and I have little to no hair, I wear a hat. Now, I don't wear a hat because I want to be nice to my head. I'm not in a good mood necessarily. I'm not feeling good feelings towards my scalp. I wear a hat because I understand that my head is a part of me, part of who I am. I don't see any separation between Alex and Alex's head. Therefore, when Alex's head suffers from coldness and baldness, I put a hat on it. Similarly with my hands. If it's extremely cold outside, if there's snow on the ground, I might wear gloves. I don't do that because I'm in a good mood. I don't do that because I like my hands necessarily. I do that because I see through the illusion of the 5 aggregates. I understand that my hands are part of me, so I naturally care for them. The beauty of what Avalokitesvara has done, the beauty of what we are trying to do as Buddhists, is learn to see other people the same way we see our hands. Because when we do, compassion naturally evolves. It's important to note that the Prajnaparamita Sutra is the Heart Wisdom Sutra. So, Avalokitesvara, from now on I'll call her Kannan, because that's what I'm used to. Kannan's compassion is not rooted in nice feelings. It's not rooted in a good mood. It's rooted in wisdom. The wisdom that other sentient beings are not separate from her. Therefore, the enlightenment of other sentient beings is not separate from hers. She cannot be fully awakened until all beings are fully awakened. In the same way that I cannot be warm and comfortable unless my hands and my head are warm and comfortable. She sees us as herself. So we as Buddhists must root our compassion in the wisdom that other people are also part of ourself. Now that said, that's a pretty big order. It's hard to do. So we can start by practicing compassion towards us. People generally have an easier idea feeling and thinking that their body is them. And yes, I know technically it's not, but let's stick with that for the purposes of this lesson. So what are we doing to be compassionate towards ourselves? Are we eating good foods? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we giving ourselves enough breaks from social media to allow our minds to reset? Don't be nice. Start by being compassionate to yourself. Then expand that compassion to other people, understanding the wisdom of Kannan, the wisdom of the Heart Sutra, which states there's no separation between you and them. Amitabha.